Hey guys, welcome to Becca Scoops. I'm Becca Scoops, and we've got a video for you that many of you have been waiting for, an update on some of the things that we're doing to get the word out to the mainstream media. The podcast that I was on has now dropped. I'm going to show you. It's peeling back the stinky onion. Becca Scoops on Gypsy Rose. It's Frankie and Jess out of Salt Lake City. They have a podcast. They were super welcoming, super interested. I'm going to get to a clip of that during this video. But I want you to go over, and I won't, it's almost like a 50-minute interview. So I'm not going to go over the whole thing. I'm going to leave the links to that podcast in the description box. So after you watch this video, when you have time, go on over, and I think you're going to enjoy, as I described to Frankie and Jess, the whole Gypsy Rose case anew. And yes, their minds were blown. So look forward to that. And I'm going to give a clip right before I end this video. I'm going to give a clip. I'm going to, discuss. I'm going to show a clip to you guys, and we can discuss. But before I get to that, I wanted to go over a few things about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, of course, that I think are pretty compelling points that many people coming new to the case don't know. And even those who have been deep in the case may not realize. So I've got some video clips from the infamous Dr. Phil interview, and we're going to go over a clip, and then I'm going to show where she's absolutely lying or she's absolutely full of herself. And yeah, so let's get to it. The first clip here is Dr. Phil showing Gypsy the infamous brownie video. I want you to watch her reaction. I want you to pay attention to her face, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so here we go.
Hi, honey.
For those that are new to the case, this is called the infamous brownie video. This is a video Gypsy and her accomplice, Nick Godejohn, videoed about a couple hours after they had murdered her mother, Claudinia Blanchard. They are in a hotel room, and this is Gypsy. She's the one that's pointing the video camera at him. She's laughing it up. She's jovial. You'll see that Nick is too. There's been some speculation that possibly this video was she instigated it to kind of cheer him up, that he was having some issues. I don't know if that's true or not. Only Nick can tell us. But anyways, that's the backstory to this video that Dr. Phil is showing her.
He's eating a brownie.
There's virtually not a lot of emotion there on her face. There's some contempt, I think. Contempt that how dare Dr. Phil show this video. I don't think she saw this coming, but you don't see her welling up with tears. You don't see her putting her head in her hands in humiliation. There's no humiliation. It's kind of like she knows she can't really like scream at him, but there's a little bit of contempt I'm picking up. She does not want to be watching this, and it angers her.
That's less than 24 hours after your mother has been stabbed to death.
I wasn't myself.
I wasn't myself? Okay, tell me more.
I had been taking narcotics such as Xanax. And
Yeah, because you know what? I don't know how much narcotics I'd have to take that 24 hours after I had my mother stabbed to death that I would be laughing, joking it up, and making sexual comments. The part they cut out there, she says, quote, "It's really hard for me to say this." Quote, "He's eating a brownie and soon he'll be eating me." So that's the kind of comments and the the laughy, you know, the chicka 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 choo. That what I don't know what that's about, what that noise is. But she is saying that that behavior is because she was taking Xanax and Vicodin. I mean, okay, let's go on.
Vicodin. I was high. Very high.
He was a different persona now.
Yes, he was.
He was a different persona now. This whole bullshit thing about Nick having all these personas, what were their names? What were their names? Personas. Because the only one we know about is named Victor, who she made up. We know about all her personas: Candy, Kitty, Demona, Ruby. If you guys don't know, new to the case, Gypsy loved cosplay. She loved dressing up. She had all these different color wigs and she had all these different personas. But now she's thrown that on him, that now he's a different persona, because what she told Dr. Phil previous to this is that Victor was the one who did the murder. And now she can be friendly with this guy because this is a different persona. Because back at the crime scene, she's telling Dr. Phil that you know, she was fearing for her life, that he was so cruel, you know, that he raped her. But now, yeah, now they're in the hotel and everything's changed and it's all chicka 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 choo. I mean, oh God, who can believe this?
He was the loving boyfriend that was gonna make all my dreams come true.
That's not how he thinks. By the way, I know most of you know Nicholas Godejohn, her accomplice, is a level 2 autistic man with the IQ of 82, which is borderline low. Okay. But she's saying he's going to make all my dreams come true. Gypsy had this fascination with fairy tales. She still does. She has a fascination with Disney, being a Disney princess and having the knight in shining armor come in and sweep her up and take her to safety because she's the perpetual victim. Don't you know?
How do you feel about him now?
I can't stand him.
Pay attention to this part particular because I'm going to show you something after this.
Because I went from one abusive person to another. I wish he would have been more responsible. He was the first person I ever told that
I wish he would have been more responsible. I know he was like a level 2 autistic guy, but he should have been the responsible one, not me.
I could walk. And yet I asked him a question. I asked him to kill my mother, but I didn't hold a gun to his head.
But you know what? So what? I asked him to do that. He didn't have to do that. I mean, what is this? What is this? What is this? You may be wondering what this is, and I'm going to get to it in a second. Let's just finish this out. A couple seconds more of this disgusting gaslighting behavior.
And make him do it. He seemed more happy to do it than anything.
Right.
And that's why I can't stand him, is because he knew. I think he knew that he could easily get me out of that situation by calling the police, being responsible.
Right. You know, it's not, she's the victim. I mean, come on. Why didn't he get me out of that situation? Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. He tried to get me out of that situation. He wasn't actually for this. This is the evidence, by the way. He was saying, just run away with me. What's your deal, girl? Just run away with me. But she was like, nope, can't do that. So what kind of behavior is this? What is she doing here? And is this typical of the type of alleged psychiatric disorder that Gypsy Rose Blanchard has? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that, shall we? So let's take a look at what this reaction is, okay? Now, allegedly, Gypsy Rose, people who murder people, there's crimes of passion and people that I've described that as walking in on your partner who is in bed with somebody else and it's a shock and you pick up a gun and you start shooting. That's a crime of passion. Get it? It's passion. It's out of nowhere and you're shocked by the situation and it angers you so, and there's something, a gun there or a knife there or something there and you pick it up. That's a crime of passion. This was not a crime of passion. And so then now we've got Gypsy in this other category of matricide. It's not like a lot of people who, murder their parents. And so what does this make her? Well, based on everything, and I'm not the only person that's saying this, there has been forensic psychologists that have also said she definitely has a high degree of symptoms of what's called antisocial personality disorder. And when someone has that, they're either a sociopath or they're a psychopath. And psychopath sounds like a crazy person, right? Like a crazy, Friday the 13th guy, right? The psychotic person that's running around murdering everyone that they come into contact with. No, the only difference is that a psychopath uses violence, where a sociopath typically doesn't. So that's how you describe the two different categories of antisocial personality disorder. And by the way, don't let the name fool you. It's not that they're antisocial. Think of Ted Bundy. Okay. They're charismatic. They can be very charming. They can be very manipulative. It's antisocial. The name can be kind of misleading because of those traits, but it's because they don't feel empathy. They can't feel empathy. Okay. So here we have, when confronted with wrongdoing, psychopath's reactions are characterized by a complete lack of guilt or remorse. And here's where Gypsy comes in that clip. Instead of accepting responsibility, they will deny, they will blame others, and manipulate the situation to maintain their sense of control. And this is what she does throughout this whole Dr. Phil interview. And that's why she's going so hardcore at Nick, why she's deflecting onto Nick. Oh, I hate him. He's horrible. He manipulated me. It goes on to say the response is never about honest self-reflection. So she's not capable, as you and I are, of reflecting on our bad behavior. We do something, we get in a fight with somebody, and when we cool down, we're sitting and we reflect like, yeah, that was really uncalled for. You're thinking in your own mind. That was, I'd say to myself, Becca, that was not good behavior, right? That's self-reflection. And then you go make amends, right? She can't do the self-reflection. She's not capable of it. So what does she do? It says, because the response is never about honest self-reflection, it is a strategic defense of their self-perception and an attempt to punish the person challenging them. So in this case, she can't punish Dr. Phil. So all of her deflection goes on to Nick, her accomplice, and he becomes the scapegoat. He becomes, in her narrative, this person that has to be the bad guy. You can pause to read the rest of this stuff. There's some stuff, if you have followed Gypsy Rose Blanchard, the denial and blame shifting, the minimization and rationalization, aggression and verbal attacks. We've seen Gypsy online, right? When people are criticizing her, that she cannot help but get in the comment section and start just blowing up at people and freaking out at people. We see that. We're not in her sphere, her physical sphere, but we've seen her online behavior and what she does. And then that last one, gaslighting down there. Most of us know what gaslighting is. So I thought I would share that. So we're going to get to the next video here that I thought was really interesting to dissect and to point out how her behaviors are just not consistent, how she's telling a tall tale, and we can prove it. Okay, here we go.
You had some text exchanges that seemed to me that this Plan B was pretty much a collaborative process.
Now, Dr. Phil's confronting her about text messages prior to the crime, text messages between her and her accomplice, Nick Godejohn. Okay, so let's re-listen to what he just said about those text messages.
Murder. You had some text exchanges that seemed to me that this Plan B was pretty much a collaborative process.
I just wish I could go back and walk.
Is that real emotion? Absolutely not.
Walk in front of somebody.
There's no tears.
And then that's what had to happen.
You said he could have said no. You could have walked out that front door. You called a cab after you hacked her to death. You could have got to call that cab and left. You could have gone to a women's shelter. You could have gone to a police
She would
station.
have found me.
He would have found me. Now pay attention to what she says next, okay? Because we're going to totally debunk it.
She would have convinced them that I was lying. And she had paperwork to prove, like, I was mentally incompetent. Nobody would have believed me.
She had paperwork to prove I was mentally incompetent and nobody would believe me. This is a lie she's perpetrated when anyone confronts her in the media with, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just get up and walk? You were a 23-year-old woman. What the hell? You were online. You had all these romantic relationships online. You had no problem contacting people online. Why not contact the police or just contact your dad? Get in a taxi and, get and have him send you money so you could go be with him. I mean, what? Oh, she had paperwork. Oh, I see. So if you ran away, she would call the police and then she would show him this paperwork. And even though you're an adult, there was never any such paperwork. So I'm going to get to that right now. I'm going to show you the evidence that there was no such paperwork. Like I've said before, every good lie has some truth to it. And with this whole made up story about Dee Dee having paperwork, there is a partial truth to that, but she did not have what Gypsy's talking about. What Gypsy's talking about is a situation that came up when Gypsy turned 18. She is actually older because of, this confusion with Dee Dee lowering her age at certain times. But anyways, for the purposes of the medical center, the purposes of the social worker and the doctors involved, they thought Gypsy had just turned 18. And so they got involved, right? I don't know if it was by Dee Dee's making or their own, that they started the process, but they got involved. And so what happened was Gypsy was going in for some minor thing. I don't know if it was a dental thing. I think it was dental. Anyways, here's what happens. Now, this is the official social worker note, okay, from back then. And remember what Gypsy said in that clip. My mom had deemed me incompetent. They would have brought me back. Okay. No, that never happened. It was looked at right here in that middle box, rectangle that's highlighted in blue. Second line down, patient's attorney stated that because patient had never been deemed incapacitated, she could not be moved forward with the guardianship. Patient's attorney stated that she believes a judge will not authorize guardianship because, listen to this, patient's cognitive delays are not severe enough to warrant it. As such, patient's mom has drafted a power of attorney, but Gypsy Rose will plan to sign consents for herself. Now, the power of attorney Dee Dee had was for her incapacitation. It's kind of like the basic thing. If a loved one goes to surgery and something happens during the surgery or any procedure, anything can happen, even with dental work, then Dee Dee would be the person, she would be the next of kin, basically. And Dee Dee had something drawn up to that effect. And so after this point, okay, and this is on August 19th, 2013, Dee Dee wasn't murdered until 2 years later. So for 2 full years, Gypsy was signing for herself. Gypsy was signing her own consents, and I will show you another document. This is just a something from Mercy Hospital that's addressed to Gypsy Rose herself. It's not addressed to Dee Dee, it's addressed to Gypsy because Gypsy is in charge of herself. And in fact, I know that date's a little blurry up there, but it's May 4th, 2015. That's only a few weeks before the murder. Gypsy got this in the mail. She knew. She knew way back in 2013 because they spoke to her. The social worker would have spoken to her. Okay. And one other piece of evidence. This is from the legal document also. Patient is able to consent for herself. The durable power of attorney, that's what that means, is consistent with the Mercy consent policy and authorizes patient's mother, Claudinia Blanchard, to consent to patient's medical care and needs in the event Gypsy Rose is incapacitated and unable to consent. So at that point, Gypsy knew mom was no longer in control, but she likes to throw out that narrative, not knowing, not realizing that at some point these documents would be, Christy would send them to others and they are out in the open now. If you're into the case, you know the right people, you can get these documents. Okay. And that is because her own stepmother put them out there. All right. Okay. So there was another lie debunked by Gypsy Rose. And that was one of her main things why I can't leave my mommy because she's going to have the police come and they're going to take me back because she's got power of attorney over me. No, she didn't. And you know, she did it because the social worker told you that you were signing for yourself and you signed for yourself and you were getting mail at the house addressed to you about your own appointments and stuff to do with your own medical care. So we're calling bullshit on that one again. Another one. I mean, like I said, a video to encompass all of her lies would be like a 4 or 5 hour video. There's just too many. Okay, let's get to the next clip here. I know you're going to love this one. Okay, this one has to do with her interrogation. Many of you have watched the whole thing. If you're new to the case, you might not have watched it. But let's go ahead and take a look at this clip. This was also during the Dr. Phil interview. And here we go.
Listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? And I know that you know.
You think that it's me? Why did you think that it's me? I've always thought my mom had.
So Dr. Phil's holding out this, he's showing this to her. She's looking at it. And here we go.
Listen to me. Please don't get yourself in this hole, and that's what you're doing.
Then he's showing her pictures of her mom when she's a little girl, and she's crying.
Tell me what you're thinking right now.
I wish I wouldn't have done any of that. It's hard to see pictures.
Can people with antisocial personality disorder mimic real emotions? Oh yeah, and they're really good at it. They can be quite good at it when they want to be.
The house and the memory and pictures of her in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair. Why would you talk about the wheelchair? I mean, why would that make you cry? Why is the wheelchair making you cry? See what I mean? These are the pictures on the what you're seeing here are the pictures she's looking at. And then she goes, in the wheelchair. I'm crying about the wheelchair. I want it back.
Well, was it justice?
No. I need to say no. I know if I say yes, that's not going to be good.
She didn't deserve what happened. If anything, she just deserved to be where I am.
Oh, she deserves to be in prison. And why is that? Isn't that interesting? She deserves to be where I am. She deserves to be where I am.
Did she warp your personality? Did she warp your mind? Did she warp your moral compass?
In the beginning, yes. And through my life, yes.
Listen to this next part because, again, she doesn't realize sometimes when she tells on herself. Now, part of this you're going to go, oh, yeah, she told on herself. But there's an actual part of this that I'm going to bring up how she really told on herself.
She taught me how to be a good liar, a very good liar without any conscience.
Without any conscience. Let me ask you something. Can somebody take away your conscience? Can somebody take away your conscience? Is your conscience something that you can just get rid of? See, she tells on herself. See, she's got antisocial personality disorder. She doesn't realize, like we all know, that although all of us may have done things wrong, right, in our lifetimes, we have a little thing called a conscience, and it makes us feel guilt, and it makes us feel remorse. And I can't make my conscience go away. How many times you wish like, oh God, I wish I didn't feel so bad that I just did that, but you feel bad because you have a conscience. Listen to that one more time because she doesn't realize what she's saying.
And through my life, yes, she taught me how to be a good liar, a very good liar without any conscience.
Not possible.
And I'm changing that.
And now I'm changing. Now I'm changing. Now I'm going to go buy a conscience at Walmart. Is that where you go buy them at? Someone go get me one at Walmart. That's where I stole the knife, by the way. I should have gone to the conscience aisle instead of the knife aisle.
I'm trying to be a good person now.
I'm trying to be a good person now. Would that mean you are a bad person? Are you a bad person?
I don't want to be like my mother.
Oh my God. The way she vilifies that poor woman. You know, I've always said, I say Dee Dee Blanchard was not a perfect person. But why do we always have to get these little digs in on her when you murdered her? Why do you got to do that? Who does that?
And I'm nothing like her.
I'm nothing like her. Now remember what she is assuming, and which at this time is pretty true, is that people believe that Dee Dee Blanchard is this horrific person. And so Gypsy's saying, I'm nothing like her. I'm nothing like her. Now, the truth was you were the real monster, not her. She was nothing like you. She had her issues, no doubt, but she wasn't a monster, not like you.
She was trained to lie and steal and cheat.
This is her dad talking, Rod Blanchard. Let's see what words of wisdom he has for us.
And all of that her whole life. Now it's just teaching her how to do the right things and believe in that way of being.
He's as deluded. I'm going to teach my 24-year-old daughter to do the right things now. She's going to go buy that conscience at Walmart. It's going to be cool. It's going to be good.
Being right and true and trustworthy. But she's still got 6-7 years before she gets out. It's just a lot.
She's never have gotten out. Never have gotten out. Ever. She's dangerous.
To choke down, deal with, and digest.
When we found out
This is Christy, her beloved stepmother, speaking.
everything that happened with Dee Dee and with Gypsy, I was furious.
I was furious. I was furious.
I couldn't believe that a mother would do this to their child.
Is she lying or is she just deluded? I don't think all they did was cash in on this case. And they let Gypsy do what she wants because Gypsy's scary. They don't want to tell her no. They're not going to tell the little psychopath no.
How could any parent, hurt their child?
How could any parent, even though you're only her stepmother, how could you allow her to behave and do the things that she's done since she's got out of prison? And where were you, by the way? Where were you guys while she was growing up? Oh, that's right. Dee Dee didn't let you see her. No one buys that. Rod had parental rights if he wanted to exercise them, but he didn't.
But Dee Dee was a piece of work.
Dee Dee was no, Gypsy's a piece of work, and you guys all are too. Okay? You guys all too. So there you have. There's the brain trust behind Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Yeah, she's in good hands, right? She's with people that are deluded and only see dollar signs. So there you have that one. All right. Let's get to the next one. This is about Nick, go to John. Here we go.
Prison. It won't get that bad.
What do you think should happen to Nick?
I think that he should spend the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah, I think he should spend the rest of his, not me. He can be in prison forever, but not me, because see, he's the bad one. He's the one that planned it all. He manipulated me. Okay.
Do you think he exploited you?
Do you think he exploited you? This is comical. Did Dr. Phil not know what his diagnosis is? We'll get to that in a minute.
I think he did. I think he used me to have his own means.
I just can't with this. I just can't.
He was a lonely person. Not a lot.
Yeah, no crap. He was a lonely person. Of course he was. Level 2 autistic with an IQ of 82. He was awkward socially. That's the main thing with this guy. With people with the type of autism he has, the type of symptoms he has. He doesn't know how to act socially. He doesn't know any social cues. So thus, he doesn't really have friends. Okay? Very limited. Okay? He's awkward. He's cringy. All right? I'm not saying that in a mean way. I want to explain to you who this guy is if you're not aware.
Friends, girls would never look at him. So I was the only one that would never tell him no. I would always agree to everything he said and do it with a smile. And I think he saw that in me from living with my mother. Like I had that submissive.
She's trying to sell to us that this guy with level 2 autism, okay, had some insights into her relationship with her mother, and that he used those insights, which even I would say even some normal men probably wouldn't pick up on, you know. But she's trying to tell us that this guy had insights into her relationship with her mother. He was so brilliant and so manipulative. He saw that, and then he took advantage of Gypsy Rose in the same way her mother was allegedly taking advantage. We're supposed to believe this.
Low self-esteem, codependent personality that I think he could put in me from living with my mother with a smile. And I think he saw that in me from living with my mother. Like I had that submissive, low self-esteem, codependent personality that I think he could prey on that.
It's just maddening. It's just maddening. She uses the word submissive. If you guys don't know, most of you do know that Gypsy was into BDSM and she liked being the submissive, but she was very much into it. She still is, even throughout her tenure in prison. This is something that she brought over and over again in the prison emails that were FOIA'd. And so we know that, you know, she uses this word. It's interesting. Let's go on.
And he used me.
Nick's going to have to own what he does, and you have to own your part of it. Your mother wasn't even on his radar until you put her there.
I know.
And you have to own that. This is not a typical situation.
All right, let's take a look at some things about Nick and manipulating Nick. Okay, let's see if does that ring true? Is that something that, you know, clinically would ring true about something with the type of autism he has? No. In fact, it's the other way around. Of course it is. A level 2 autistic person may be more vulnerable to manipulation and coercion, which could lead to involvement in a crime. I know this it's not shocking, but I'm just sorry. Woo. What happened there? Are we still going? All right, we're still going. Let me fix this. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I'm going to leave that snafu in. Okay. I just am because, yeah, that's just, I'm not perfect, and sometimes the camera, whatever. Let's get back to Nick. Gypsy was asserting that Nick is the one who manipulated her, exploited her, and she's very angry at him. And he should spend the rest of his life in prison where she shouldn't, but he should because he was the one, the mastermind. He was the one that used her to do this crime. He loved to do it. He wanted to do it. And she just wishes he would have stopped. But she was so submissive. Remember the word submissive. And she had low self-esteem. And he took advantage of that. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about a guy with an IQ of 82, borderline low, and he's been diagnosed with level 2 autism. Not only was he diagnosed with level 2 autism, I know I say this again, but you know how hard it is to be put on permanent disability with our government for anything? He was. So yeah, he really has it, really has it. All right. And so before I was rudely interrupted here, this person, a person like Nick, may be more vulnerable and to manipulation and coercion, which could lead to an involvement in a crime. This is exactly what happened with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. It's not mind shattering. You don't have to be a genius to figure this out. But when you just look at those interviews at face value, if you don't know anything about the case, and I'm surprised Dr. Phil didn't bring this up. Why wouldn't Dr. Phil push back with this information? It's not difficult. I know he knows about it. So why wouldn't he? He believed because as the interview goes on at the end, he says to Gypsy, "Oh, you experienced horrendous abuse." The whole Munchausen by proxy thing. He was totally on board with that, as were most people. As were most people. All right. Let's get to the next thing right here. And then we're going to get to the little clip of the podcast I was on. I know you guys are looking forward to that. And again, look in the description box. You'll find the link to the entire interview. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Let me get to the podcast now. Now, this podcast I was on, it's over 50 minutes. So you guys are going to want to go over to that link. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. Please do me a favor and go over there and listen to it when you have time. But I'm going to go ahead and play a little clip from the podcast just to give you a flavor of how it went. It's these people were extremely nice, Frankie and Jess, and out of Salt Lake City. Here we go.
What didn't have Munchausen is every medical procedure that Gypsy did have, that was backed up.
This is me explaining. Now, remember, I'm talking to people who don't know a lot of the things that are in my videos. So we start out with explaining some of this stuff.
By testing and stuff like that, all correlate to the chromosome disorder that she was later diagnosed. The other proof that what didn't have Munchausen is every medical procedure that Gypsy did have, that was backed up by testing and stuff like that, all correlate to the chromosome disorder that she was later diagnosed with. So she would have to have been psychic because Gypsy's story is, my mom went in there and told the doctors, remove my salivary glands. And they did. And it's like, well, doctors don't operate that way. You know what I mean? Right. I'm a nurse. I know doctors.
So I'm explaining to them, which I've explained many times, that these symptoms that Gypsy had growing up were based on this genetic disorder she had, chromosomal disorder called a microdeletion, but they didn't know what it was. So you got this kid that's having all these symptoms, and the doctors are going, well, we know it's something genetic. We know it's something probably with the chromosomes, but we just don't know exactly what it is. And so she's having these symptoms. And her symptoms are tied to, her GI tract. So in the mouth, the swallowing, she had GERD. She had to have a G tube because she had problems, swallowing and in intaking food. And the doctors didn't know, but every procedure, and not 30, by the way, like she tells Dr. Phil, that she had are totally tied. The symptom and the procedures the doctor did are totally found in the chromosomal disorder. But Dee Dee didn't know what it was. So how would she have like psychic ability to go, well, I know in 5 years, Gypsy's going to be diagnosed with this rare disorder, blah, 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 blah. And I know because I'm psychic that the symptoms are going to be XYZ. And so, yeah, I'm going to go tell the doctor, I'm going to go put Oragel on Gypsy's, gums and make her drool. So they'll do surgery on her salivary glands. What? All right. So that's kind of what I'm saying on this podcast here. Let's go on.
So just take some mom's word. I'm going to go remove, I'm going to do a surgery on your kid. But all of the procedures that she did have, the few that she did have, when you read about the chromosomal disorder, you're like, oh, well, it's all the symptoms based on this chromosomal disorder that at the time she had the procedures, she wasn't even diagnosed with yet. So how would her mother even have done that unless she was psychic, mind reader, saw into the future, basically. So there's so much evidence to back up that this woman, Dee Dee Blanchard, did not have this disorder and that she was murdered not because she was making Gypsy medically ill. And this is where my husband comes into it with his background in law enforcement.
Now, this clip is only a couple minutes long. Bear with me. Now, I'm going to talk about Mitch, my husband Mitch, who is a veteran detective, retired detective, and how he came into play with our research. And this has to do with criminal patterns. Okay.
Is that, when they study about criminals and crimes, there's a pattern. And so Gypsy never fit the pattern. That is what he was always, my husband, we'd have these discussions and he's like, the other thing is she doesn't fit the pattern of someone who is being abused and then, murder someone. You don't typically see that.
Typically, there are cases, where people are abused and at times they may lash out at, finally lash out. But never, and this is what I'm going to say in this, you're going to hear me say it, that there's been not one case of a Munchausen case where the alleged victim, which would be Gypsy Rose in this case, if has murdered the perpetrator, which would have been Dee Dee. There's not one case. Not one case, meaning there's no criminal pattern. Gypsy would be the first. Is that what it is? Or did Dee Dee not have Munchausen? Which is more likely?
And in fact, in all of the Munchausen cases that are on record, never, not once, has the so-called victim murdered the so-called perpetrator. It's never happened. So this would also break a criminal pattern. Like, oh, this is the first case where a Munchausen patient murders. And so that was what my husband's like, well, this doesn't even fit a pattern.
And in fact, how I even know that stat, at first, how it was brought to my attention is because Mark Feldman, who is Gypsy's so-called Munchausen expert, this Dr. Mark Feldman, who's written a book and is the self-proclaimed expert on Munchausen by proxy, stated that at first when he looked at Gypsy Rose's case, and when I say looked at it, he didn't have any of the medical records or anything like that. He was just researching it on the internet. When he first looked at it, like researched on the internet, he thought that it wasn't Munchausen for a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons he didn't think it was Munchausen was because of this statistic that never, and this is according to him, the Munchausen expert. Well, he's like, I've never known a Munchausen case where the victim rises up and murders the perpetrator. It's never happened. And so for that reason, in the beginning, He didn't think that Dee Dee had Munchausen. And for another reason, the other reason he didn't think at first that Dee Dee had Munchausen was because he thought Gypsy Rose was really ill. And then when he found out that Gypsy Rose was 100% healthy, that was it. He goes, oh, but now we know, Dr. Mark Feldman, now we know she was not 100% healthy. Do you care to weigh in on this again, sir? Do you care to set the record straight? Probably not, guys, because he's all over these documentaries saying that Gypsy had Munchausen by proxy. But that was his criteria. And both of those things now are knocked down. Gypsy wasn't healthy. And no, this isn't the first case of someone with Munchausen murdering somebody. How about no, it's not?
But she does fit a pattern for other cases where you see young women in their teens, late teens, early 20s who do get a partner to murder the parents. There's many cases like that.
So that's the criminal pattern. When you go look for a pattern, criminals they stick to patterns, okay? The study of criminal behavior, you see the patterns, okay? And so what is the criminal pattern of Gypsy's crime? What is it? It's young girls, late teens, maybe early 20s, that get a partner to murder their parents. There's a lot of those cases. Look them up. There's a lot of those cases. I've put a few of those cases in some of my videos just to show the pattern, that here's the pattern. Here's what this was.
And we have those cases also in our videos to show the pattern that she fits more into this pattern of behavior. And this is why she did it. Basically, why she did it was her mom. Gypsy is very, well, in my humble opinion, and I'm not a psychiatrist and I can't diagnose, but I'm thoroughly convinced, and other forensic psychologists have said this also, that she probably has antisocial personality disorder. And that's when someone's like, either they're a sociopath or they're a psychopath. And if they're doing violent things, then they're a psychopath. I know it sounds like a crazy label to put on her, but the actual definition of a psychopath is not like, crazy. What you may come into your mind is just these people that don't feel empathy and that, have these narcissistic trends, and they will result in doing something violent to get their way. And basically her mom Gypsy was very promiscuous. And her mom was a little old fashioned, and her mom did not when Gypsy was like 18, she was dating a 36-year-old man. So Her mom was not right. Her mom put a kibosh on that. And when her mom.
So that's the clip I have for you. If you want to listen to the whole podcast, I'd appreciate it. Again, the link is in the description box. When you have time, go ahead and give it a listen. Give me some feedback. Give me some feedback on this video. So I made this impromptu video. It may seem like it's long, but I wanted to put some substance into the video today because this podcast just dropped and I was excited and I wanted to share the news with you guys too, that we are moving along slow and steady, but we're getting out in the mainstream, and let's just keep going. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please like and share. And if you're not subbed to my channel, consider subbing. If you want to get more content like this, hit the notification bell. And well, you guys, thank you so much. Till next time, Becca Scoops out.